think it depends how long you want to go back in history, right? I mean, some of the first texts in the world that were written already dealt with like histories of like the fountain of youth and immortality, right? Back then, maybe less science-based, but like more hopeful. But I think the spirit probably lives now along, like lives within scientists and a bunch of other people. But I think the first real experiments that concluded that lifespan can be extended was like roughly 9 years ago in 1935. It was fairly simple. They just starved rats or like caloric restricted those rats, and they just lived like 33% longer. And that in a way kicked off like a lot of those caloric restrictions theories, or interventions that we like. Funny enough, like 90 years later, we still don't have like the clear data that says caloric restriction is always good for you. It's not always good for you, right? So 9 years later, it's still like ongoing research. And I think then fast forward like to the mid 90s, a bunch of smart scientists found that you can use like genetics and modulate lifespan of worms and yeast and other organisms, so that there was like something in a way within our genetic code that we can use to modulate the biology of aging. And then further down in the 2000s, there were like a few molecules that have been found that were like very significant. Rapamycin, the most promising on that one, which like comes from a remote island, the Easter Islands, and was like dug out of the soil from a bacterium, and somehow it's a long story. It even got frozen. It was almost thrown away, and then they somehow found out that it does stuff, and that's extends lifespan in mice by up to 30% in every other organism tested. And that was like really the sign, okay, we can use small molecules to modulate aging biology, and get like maybe a hold of longevity. That was back then like still mostly like academic. But I think then like from the 2010s, 2015 on, you slowly had like companies being like shaped and formed, trying different approaches to get a hang on all those things. And like now in 2020, we have like this entire burgeoning industry where we have obviously like aging clocks, like statistical models applied to biological data to predict what is actually your biological age, what is your aging rate. And then on the other side of that, obviously biotechs and supplements that seem to have an impact on how you're aging, on how you age, and potentially even rejuvenation in the future.
Great.